Why do you think that China seems to like you? Why are they praising you?
I have absolutely no idea.
Things are really ramping up here quickly, aren't they? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Mark Carney and his team rolling out this new bill, Bill C8. This bill will allow them, a minister, not the police, to cancel someone's internet. Don't like what someone's saying on the internet? Cancel the internet. No problem. Easy peasy. We also have Mark Carney over in Europe. He's meeting with leaders of countries that we have barely any business with. He also met with Xi Jinping's number 2 in command from China. Carney is desperately pushing us towards China, the EU, and trying his best to break our bond with America. Let's jump into this. Let's start here. We've got Mark Carney out in Finland, as Desiree Fixler pointing out. Iceland is a bigger trade deal than the US. Go Carney. Making fun of the guy, clearly it is not. But here he is, shaking hands, grip and grin. Look, we're sitting by a table. Look, we're shaking hands again. Meanwhile, Carney says international meetings are necessary to opening new markets. It's also necessary to take his wife on a world tour. And I'm going to say this nicely because this affects Canada's image. Why does she dress like a clown? Every single time, everywhere she goes, she dresses like she's wearing a 70s tablecloth, a different 70s tablecloth at every single event. Carney looks fine. He's got his blue suit. I say this nicely, but let's call a spade a spade. This looks ridiculous. This is embarrassing to Canadians. We've got another one here. Like, what is going on here? No. Just no. So what was Carney really doing over in Europe? Yeah, sure, he had some meetings. He had to strengthen his ties with Keir Starmer, his EU buddies, try to get the net zero thing all set up. Also going over to the World Bank. Some big deals going on there, isn't he? The biggest draw is this, the Women's World Rugby Championship, because Canada was playing. Carney is a big sports fan. He's mentioned this before. He loves baseball. He loves hockey. Obviously, he keeps using those analogies. He loves sports. Okay, this looks forced. We've got multiple other images here. There he is, big grin. Take the big gas-guzzling jet over to Europe to watch the rugby championship.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is disappointed. Mark Carney, a pretty sharp economist. He knows Canada needs 2 scores.
Mr. Economist here. Can't get Canada out of a bind, especially when he's watching rugby. Now, what else is Carney doing? Maybe he's talking to his buddy Keir Starmer about UK's digital ID and implementing that in Canada. Well, one of the reporters, kudos, asking a good question, asked this exact question.
Keir Starmer's introduced a digital ID card. Wants to make it mandatory as a way of controlling immigration. Is that something Canada might consider?
Well, Paul, one thing I would put in terms of context is the UK is relatively unique in not having other forms of identification. So
This is just such a telling response here. You don't need me to tell you this guy's body language when he's asked this. First off, when he gets the question, look at his eyes. He scans over to the left. He's quickly looking for an exit in this room because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't like this question. What have we learned from liberals? Whatever they say they're going to do the opposite.
Digital ID card. Wants to make it mandatory as a way of controlling immigration. Is that something Canada might consider?
Well, Paul, one thing I would put in terms of context is the UK is relatively unique in not having other forms of identification. So there's been a long history here not to have ID. In Canadians, we have various forms of ID. We have driver's license. You have social insurance license.
So he's trying to smooth this one over. I don't think he was expecting to get this question. That's why he's caught off guard here. I think their plan obviously is to bring in digital ID because they want to have more power and control. Where would he learn something like that? China. China has those scanners. If you walk across the street, there's cameras everywhere. They scan everyone. There's a social credit score. If you jaywalk, they deduct points off of your score and then you lose access to certain things. It's crazy. That's what he wants. He wants full power and control.
Like you have forms of identification. In terms of, so now.
He doesn't know how to answer this. If I were a betting man, the answer is yes. He wants to bring in digital ID. He doesn't want to tell anyone about it yet.
Are there merits to having common digital identification for government services, for, you say immigration, also for financial services, portability, other aspects? There may be. We don't have current plans for that.
We don't have current plans for that. We could have plans tomorrow, but not right now. Johnny Seabass is nailing this one out of the park. Before I could even say it, no current plan, minority government. That's what that is. No current plan equals minority government. Keir Starmer has a majority, giving him more wiggle room. With that minority, they're already planning when to have the next election. That's why they're doing the Pew Pew buyback program, to get more votes from Quebec, and then they can have another election and hopefully get 4 more seats. But they need to control what's going on. They need to control what people are saying. We've got this one here. Conservative Matt Strauss here saying people should be very concerned about Bill C-8. It allows Melanie Joly to kick anyone off the internet with no trial, with no warrant. Worse, you won't be allowed to say you've been kicked off. This is the Emergency Act measures on steroid, only permanent and secret. Security of Canadian Telecommunication System Minister's Code. If there are no reasonable grounds to believe that it is necessary to do so to secure the Canadian telecommunication system against any threat, including that of interference, manipulation, disruption, degradation, prohibit a telecommunications service provider from providing any service to any specific person, including a telecommunications service provider and direct communications, etc., etc. You get the idea. If they don't like what you're saying, they can cut off your internet. That's what they're putting through with Bill C-8. The order may also include a provision prohibiting the disclosure of its existence or some or all of its contents by any person, meaning people will not know about this. And this one, the minister may require any person to provide the minister or any other designated by the minister within any time the subject to any conditions that the minister may specify, any information the minister believes on reasonable grounds is relevant to the purpose of making, amending, or revoking an order under section 15.1 or 15.2, or a regulation under paragraph 15.8 1A, or of verifying compliance or preventing non-compliance with such an order or regulation. Basically what this means is the minister can compel a company or person to give up information, and it also means they can deem it as confidential, but it still allows the minister to see that information. Moving ahead here, we've got Mark Carney having a meeting with Xi Jinping's number 2 guy coming out of China.
The Prime Minister's meeting with the Chinese, an opportunity to try and soften relations that have been strained for nearly a decade. A potential counterbalance from an unreliable Donald Trump, who, despite roasting UN members, is holding an event for them later this evening, including for Mark Carney.
Good evening. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister will travel to China in a matter of weeks in a move that could signal an easing of tensions between the two countries, locked in a diplomatic standoff. But that could make it harder for Canada to repair another key relationship.
A handshake with the second most powerful man in China, Premier Li Qiang. It comes as Canada and China are locked in a tariff battle over canola and electric vehicles. Next month, Foreign Minister Anita Anand will visit China, laying the groundwork for a top-level meeting.
Those discussions will deepen. I expect to. I will expect at the appropriate time to be meeting with President Xi Jinping.
This is not the first time, Carney. Just cat's out of the bag. You're already business partners with Xi Jinping. I'm sure most Canadians don't realize that. He went there as a U.S. business leader just last year. This is not something special. You're going to talk to your buddy, your business partner, Xi Jinping, this time as Prime Minister of Canada.
But continuing this dialogue with the Premier.
But this warming of trade relations could result in more tensions with the U.S. President Donald Trump wants its allies to do less trade with China. He also said that Canada's recognition of Palestine could impact a trade deal.
Yeah, no kidding. And this is what Carney's doing. He's keeping Donald Trump as the boogeyman. That's why he went straight for Palestinian recognition. He's pushing products and in a whole eco-climate agenda, solar panels, all of that, because China is the one that makes it, has a carbon credit system, invested in Stripe, bring in the Chinese solar panels and wind farms, all that junk. This signals to me speculating that Mark Carney has significant investment also in China. These would be investments we wouldn't know about. Pushing all that eco-green stuff. The carbon credit system gets fleshed out, becomes mandatory. His early investing in Stripe and the Frontier program blows up those shares as well. This guy's winning on all sides. And if it fails, guess what? He's invested 91% of his stocks, his other stocks, in America. I was wondering for the longest time if he had a deal with Donald Trump, a secret deal, because Brookfield bailed out Donald Trump's son-in-law, to the Kushner Properties, 666 Fifth Avenue, this one here, $1.1 billion. In hindsight, I'm still not sure. This still might be the case, but what we do know is Mark Carney and Jared Kushner know each other because they're in this photo. This is not AI. This is from an event. And also Jared Kushner, his brother, Joshua Kushner, owns this company here, Thrive Capital, who's been in multiple investment rounds in Stripe. You can see here, early 2023, $1.8 billion. They also did an investment back in 2014 for $70 million. This is way back, going 11 years ago. So this whole Stripe thing could be running in parallel and Donald Trump's not involved in that. There's a bunch of moving pieces and that may just be the case here. But Mark Carney's hedged his bets here where all of these investments over here, 91%, as I've got it calculated here, 91.62% in America, 514 stocks, all the rest here in European countries. He's hedging his bets here, but does he have a secret chunk of cash invested in China and his buddy Xi Jinping and him worked out a plan? That's why Xi Jinping backed him during the election. I should note too, I didn't really cover this, but these are my findings going through all these different stocks. The Investigative Journal Foundation also went through and did this. They had a team of people and go and do this. And that's what I have posted here from their findings. And this is their results. So I have 514 from America. They also have 514. The only thing that differs here is we've both got 11 Ireland. They've got 6 from the UK. I've got 5. Netherlands 4, Canada 3, Switzerland 3. I can't see what their other ones here. So one of these ones they've deemed as a UK investment. It's really confusing because when you have some of them that are in Jersey or some of these other places, some of those are technically UK, but they're not. Regardless, Carney set this up so he wins no matter what. If America wins and everyone else loses, he still wins. If China wins with this whole eco-green thing, carbon credits, then he also wins because he's invested in Stripe and this whole carbon credit system.
And so they all of a sudden become in a position where they're quite advantaged. So if we took away the carbon tax, then they'd be like, wait a minute, we just made this massive investment and you didn't do it. That's first point. Second is we're diversifying away from the Americans. And guess what? The countries we're diversifying to care about this. We will not have access to the European market. We will not have.
There it is, the European market. They care so much about this. What other countries, Carney? Which ones?
Have access to the UK market and increasingly
the UK market. That's right. The country that's doing awful.
Major Asian markets, unless we are getting our emissions down. And then the third point.
Which Asian markets care about this? Name one. Just one.
Is, guess what? The Americans change their mind every once in a while. And now apparently they don't care about it. They're going to care about it again. And we are going to put ourselves in a position where we leapfrog the Americans with respect to carbon competitiveness. Yeah. And that is good for Canada long term. I mean, obviously it's good for the planet, but it's good for Canada long term.
This is only good for his bank account, his carbon credit system, and his Stripe shares. He knows it. This is disgusting what he's trying to do here. Our carbon competitiveness, nobody cares about that. This guy is so sure that Joe Biden 2.0 is going to pop up in 4 years. What about JD Vance? There's a lot of Republicans that might just take the reins from Donald Trump. We don't know. Americans are tired of the nonsense going on down there. I sure hope Canadians wake up here quick. So are we going to see more trade with China? Yeah, probably, because this is what's going to help his agenda. And we're probably going to have more solar panels and wind turbines and all sorts of stuff come over from China. And what's a project they're talking about that would use such products? Could it be this one here? Details about 60 billion Wind West as feds give nod. Are these going to be made in China?
Have an independent foreign policy. We make decisions that are consistent with our values.
It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
But at the United Nations Leaders Week, common ground is being found on Ukraine. Trump is changing his tone on Russia.
Also, this situation, as I showed before, Donald Trump, Mark Carney invested in 7 of the 9 companies that will be rebuilding Ukraine. He is stacking the deck no matter what. He will win no matter what.
Do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
After his bilateral meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump posted on social media that he believes Ukraine is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form without ceding land to Russia.
You know what that is there? Donald Trump got snubbed by Putin. Putin made a bad mistake where he lied to Trump, and now Trump takes it personally. Trump always takes things personally. He holds a grudge and wants to get revenge. Putin messed up bad. He shouldn't have lied to Trump and made him look foolish, because that's the result. I think Trump will back pushing forward there and wiping out Russia from those territories, just out of spite for making him look bad.
The Prime Minister did not rule out sending troops to help guarantee the security of Ukraine. And today, Carney also left open the door for Canada to be part of a stabilization force in Gaza once a ceasefire and a two-state solution is negotiated.
Yeah, so Trump is essentially open to sending troops over there. Carney already mentioned that too, for both Ukraine and Gaza. On this episode of Far Off Ripoff,
This week, Canada provided over $200 million in new funding to improve global nutrition, address climate change, and reduce poverty.
we wouldn't want to do that at home now. It used to be 1 in 4 Canadians can't afford food. Now it's 1 in 3 based on the area. 1 in 3, 33% of Canadians can't afford enough food in our country. And this buffoon is sending our money to other countries. Fire up the laundry machine.
This includes new initiatives with partners in Africa, South America, the Middle East, and the Caribbean. Canada will also contribute $47 million in new funding to Gaza and West Bank to strengthen judicial systems, governance structures, and democratization efforts.
Oh yeah, you're going to give $47 million to terror lords and expect them to set up democracy. Are you kidding me? These guys held an election back in 2006 where they won that election. The people of Palestine voted for these terror lords, and since then they haven't held another election. This guy's going to send $47 million of Canadians' hard-earned tax dollars to terror lords to set up a democracy. Good luck with that, loser. This guy's a disgrace. This guy's worse than Trudeau. Ottawa cancels noise fines for pro-Palestinian protests. Yeah, so it's only a problem when Canadians do it protesting the government and government overreach and breaking the law. But if it's Palestinian protesters, no problem, no mischief here, nothing to see. As Ryan Gerritsen says, if only the Freedom Convoy waved a few of those flags, they would have zero issues. Yeah, and that's the truth of it. They probably would have zero issues. Call me crazy, but listening to D-word chants all night seems a bit more concerning. Yeah. It does.
The Ottawa courthouse, actually having charges dropped, a number of us were charged with tickets amounting to almost $500 for speaking out against the genocide of the Palestinian peoples.
Was that really the case? Or were you guys banging drums, blocking roads, and endangering Canadian lives? When an ambulance can't drive down the road because you guys are blocking it, that's against the law. That's why you get those tickets. The difference here is Canadians are getting dragged through the courts at the cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, these people, they're getting all their tickets dropped.
These charges, as of today, all of my friends walking out of this courtroom, they have been withdrawn, and they never should have been levied in the first place.
This is two-tier policing is what this is. We've got more of them here in Niagara Falls. How is this not exactly the same as a Freedom Convoy? Honking horns, driving down the road? Are mischief charges being dished out? Hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees? No, because we have two-tier policing in Canada. You'll notice too, the vehicles they drive, very expensive. This Jeep here, this Wrangler is at least $60,000, $70,000 minimum. They're impeding the vision on the road. This is against the law. They should be in jail for this. Government approved. That's what this is. The government approves of this, but only if you're Palestinian. Going back to Mark Carney, he meets with China's #2 in command, just under Xi Jinping. We know where this is leading. I am convinced that Carney made a plan a year ago with Xi Jinping, and now he's unrolling it. And the reason why I think that, if you go over to my Moose chart here, we've got this article right above Bruce Flatt. Mark Carney calls a snap election on March the 23rd. Vice Premier encourages multinational companies to expand investment in China. And who do we have here? There he is, Bruce Flatt, CEO of Brookfield Asset Management. When did that happen? March 23rd, 2025, the exact same day Mark Carney called a snap election. This is not coincidence. We go up here, you can check this out for yourself, moosechart.com. We got Li Qiang here, Premier of the People's Republic of China, keynote speaker WF. This guy's a WF guy. The pieces are starting to come together now, aren't they? These guys are all part of the same group, the Klaus Schwab gang of goons. Meanwhile, back home, we've got Carney saying that we need to be competitive around the world with our oil and gas, as Richard Diaz posts here. Carney, China is very sincere, engaged on climate change. This gaslighting needs to stop. China doesn't give two figs about climate. No, they don't. Here we've got 354 new coal-fired power plants in China. They don't care about this. They have no net zero agenda. There's a money-making agenda. You got guys like David Eby going to this climate week in New York City. He's just a pawn. He's a small cog in the wheel.
Because of our electrical advantage, We have the lowest carbon products produced anywhere in the world, whether you're talking about some minerals, agricultural products.
What kind of advantage is this? There's no advantage if people are demanding it. Nobody cares about this. This is his own climate ideology, impoverishing the people of British Columbia and all Canadians because this guy won't lift the tanker ban.
Why do you think that China, the PRC, seems to like you? Why are they praising you?
I have absolutely no idea, and I have absolutely no idea, and I think I'll leave it at that.
He has no idea. Absolutely no idea. What could it be, Mark? Could it be that you already have met Xi Jinping as a U.S. business leader? There he is right there, shaking all the hands. Live from Beijing, it's Mark Carney and Xi Jinping. What could they be up to? Just a couple of guys having some fun. There definitely isn't any tomfoolery going on here, is there? No, not at all. We're not stupid, Mark. We can see what you're doing.